still important during the COVID-19 emergency. Secure online appointments are now available and allow you to meet with your doctor from the comfort of home. More at 904-202-4YOU.
Wayne Hogan of the Terrell Hogan Law Firm.
I'm Wayne Hogan. It's the #1 killer of teens. One text or call can wreck it all. Let's put an end to distracted driving.
Learn more at waynehogan.law.
North Florida TPO, proud sponsor of WJCT's First Coast Connect, bringing to the community innovation in transportation planning, commuter services, clean fuels, and intelligent transportation systems. More at northfloridatpo.com.
This is WJCT News 89.9 Jacksonville. Ahead in the next 5 minutes, live local news for the First Coast from the WJCT News team.
It's the first of the month and rent is due. I'm Melissa Ross, and just ahead this hour on First Coast Connect, thousands across the state are at risk of eviction and foreclosure in this pandemic. We'll tell you about a new program in Jacksonville aimed at helping people keep their homes. That's just ahead, then later.
I think that trust in the community is important regardless of what has happened in the past. Maybe we need to regain the trust, and then the challenge really becomes keeping it.
After a very rocky period for this city's utility, JEA has new leadership. We'll speak with new CEO Jay Stowe, plus some positive news and notes for your week, our What's Good Wednesday. All of that and more just ahead. After the day's news.
Live from NPR News, I'm Corva Coleman. The United Kingdom has granted emergency approval for a COVID-19 vaccine made by drug maker Pfizer. While Russia has approved its own vaccine, the UK is the first country where regulators approved a vaccine backed by transparent science. NPR's Jacqueline Diaz reports.
The vaccine, which the drug maker says promises up to 95% protection against COVID-19, is expected to be given to the most vulnerable members of the population as early as next week. Matt Hancock, the nation's health secretary, said he expects 10 million doses of the vaccine to arrive in the UK this year. Healthcare workers and the elderly are some of those likely to be the first in line for shots. Vaccine delivery is expected to continue in the UK throughout 2020 and into 2021 in stages. Officials in the U.S. still have not approved the vaccine's use in America, though Pfizer said Wednesday it expects FDA approval later this month. Jacqueline Diaz, NPR News.
Meanwhile, an advisory panel to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued guidance about who should be first in the U.S. to receive COVID vaccines. NPR's Ping Huang reports members recommended healthcare workers and residents of long-term care facilities.
The CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee has been deliberating for months on who should get the first COVID-19 vaccines. Now, they have solidified their decision with a vote. Committee Chair Jose Romero says they've decided to put healthcare workers and people in nursing homes and assisted living facilities first.
We are using the principles of maximizing benefits and minimizing harms, promoting justice, and mitigating health inequities.
The committee having voted, its advice can now be considered by states as they pre-order vaccines from the federal government. No vaccines have been authorized yet, but 2 are up for FDA consideration later this month. Ping Huang, NPR News.
New York City's elementary schools are set to reopen next week, but NPR's Sally Herships reports plans for other grades are still up in the air.
New York City middle and high school students have been waiting. After 3% of the city's coronavirus tests came back positive, schools were closed, and the mayor didn't have a reopening plan in place. He then announced middle and high schools wouldn't open until next year, but declined to provide many details. The mayor now says opening middle schools in January will be the city's next focus.
NPR's Sally Herships reporting. The government of Afghanistan and Taliban officials say they'll open negotiations intended to end decades of conflict in that country. Both sides released brief statements today that they had resolved some procedural issues that bogged down earlier talks. New negotiations are now expected to cover a roadmap for Afghanistan's political future, also a potential ceasefire. However, the Taliban have sharply increased their attacks in recent months. This is NPR.
WJCT News 89.9 is sponsored in part by Humana, offering a variety of plans to fit your needs. Information at 904-303-2505.
Good morning, 4 minutes after 9. This is WJCT News 89.9 Jacksonville. I'm Michelle Coram. Duval County's coronavirus death toll has increased by 22. The total is now 626. The number of confirmed cases went up by 472, and that pushes the total above 44,000 in Duval County. A nuclear power plant in Central Florida is being dismantled. Steve Newborn reports the decades-long process of shuttering the Crystal River generator is now underway.
The nuclear reactor about 90 minutes north of Tampa went offline in 2009 for refueling, but never reopened after cracks were found in the containment structure surrounding the reactor core. Duke Energy announced in 2013 it would be retiring the nuclear operations while keeping the existing natural gas-fired generators. The company says a dismantling now underway should be completed in 2027. And estimates that closing the plant would cost $1.2 billion will reportedly end up costing half that amount. The closure means only 2 nuclear generators are operating in Florida at Port St. Lucie and Turkey Point, south of Homestead. I'm Steve Newborn in Tampa.
The temperature in Jacksonville's 35 degrees. Will reach the upper 50s this afternoon. This is WJCT News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Merrill. Merrill Edge Self-Directed Investing has tools to help clients find answers to questions. More at merrilledge.com/withinreach. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Finner & Smith, Incorporated, registered broker-dealer.
It's the first of the month and rent is due. Are you at risk of eviction or foreclosure in this pandemic and recession? Good morning. We're live from Studio 5. I'm Melissa Ross, and this is First Coast Connect. Thanks for listening. Just ahead, we will look at a local program working to stop evictions and foreclosures in this city. Give us a call right now with your questions. It's 549-2937. Let us know if you're struggling out there. Then later, Jacksonville's city-owned utility has a new leader after a very rocky period. We'll speak with Jay Stowe. He is the new CEO at JEA. But first this hour, the latest on the pandemic. Florida officially surpassed 1 million COVID-19 infections Tuesday. The only other states to report more than 1 million cases are Texas and California. Florida adding 8,847 more cases of coronavirus in Tuesday's report. As the total topped 1 million, that's the first time since the beginning of the pandemic here in March. And for the second consecutive day, hospitalizations statewide rose by more than 100 over the 24-hour span. 82 more Florida residents died yesterday from COVID. The cumulative death toll now stands at 18,916 statewide. And the pandemic, of course, has caused widespread unemployment throughout the state. Recognizing this, throughout this ordeal, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has extended a moratorium on evictions. Still, thousands across the state are at risk of being homeless, because some evictions and foreclosures are still happening, despite that moratorium. It's the first of the month, and rent and mortgages are due. So this morning, we're taking a closer look at a local program aimed at preventing evictions and foreclosures. It's a collaboration between the City of Jax and the Jacksonville Bar Association. We're pleased to welcome Christian George, chair of the Committee for the Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Program with the Bar Association, also managing partner at Ackerman's Jacksonville office. Christian, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Also on the line, Cindy Trimmer, a board member at the Jax Bar and a partner at Driver McAfee. Cindy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And here's our question to callers. It's the first of the month. You got to pay your rent or your mortgage. Are you having trouble doing that? Are you out of work? Are you behind on your rent? Are you worried about being evicted or foreclosed on? Give us a call right now. Let us know how you're doing and what your questions are as we share thoughts and information about help that is available. Call us now, 549-2937. Emails to First Coast Connect at wjct.org. Tweets to @MelissaInJax. Our Facebook page is open too. Christian George, let's begin with you. You're the chair of this program. It's a collaboration between the city and the Jacksonville Bar Association. It's called the Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Program. Badly needed. How did this come about, and how is this going to work?
Well, thank you. It came about the city and the mayor's office and the city council.
And if you could get off speakerphone, Christian, that would be helpful. I think you are on speaker.
Sorry, Melissa.
Go ahead.
The city of Jacksonville and the mayor's office and the city council allocated funds to this program, and they needed an organization to administer it and manage it. And as a civic-minded organization, the Jacksonville Bar Association contacted the city and stated that we would be willing to help with that process. So that's how it came about. There is $5.3 million allocated to the program currently, although there will be a bill filed today to add another $1.5 million for a total of $6.8. 75% of those funds will be dedicated to the residential side of evictions and foreclosures, and 25% will be dedicated to the commercial side. As far as how it works, Cindy and I are able to walk listeners through the application process section by section before it launches. The residential program launches tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Okay, so people need to be on notice. By the way, you can go to the City of Jax website or a new website, jacksonvillecares.com. We'll repeat that several times. So, Cindy Trimmer, walk us through this process, as Christian said. What do people need to do to get involved, get engaged, and try to get some relief?
Thank you so much. So we have made it as easy as possible for folks to take advantage of this program. And basically, you just need to log into the website that you just referenced, and it will direct you to the software. And as you go through the software and upload documentation, there's a lot of requirements, but they're pretty easy to make. You basically need to show that you're facing financial hardship as a result of COVID, that it happened sometime between March and September, and that you fell into arrears between April and October. And that can be any type of evidence. Like I said, when Christian and I walk through it, we'll kind of touch on that in a little more detail. But the person that's delinquent needs to initiate that process, and then through it, we'll reach out to the person that's owed the money, and it will walk you through step by step and basically auto-generate everything to get the money in the hands and get you caught up so that you're no longer delinquent and that you can go forward and not have this hanging over your head.
And that's getting caught up is so important, Cindy, because throughout most of this year, there's been a moratorium on evictions. But whenever that ends, people have to pay everything that they've been owing all of this time. That's going to be so difficult for so many people.
That's exactly right. What happened already basically gave people some protection in terms of not being out on the street when this was happening, but it didn't actually cure the delinquency. So the point of this program is getting money into the hands of those that need it so that that delinquency is gone. You have to agree through this program that you're accepting the funds through the government as payment in full for whatever is owed, so that going forward, you're starting with a clean slate.
We're talking about a local effort to help people at risk of eviction or foreclosure in this pandemic. It is the first of the month. Are you having trouble paying rent or mortgage? And by the way, we want to hear from landlords too. It's 549-2937. We'll go to your calls in a moment as we talk about the new eviction and foreclosure prevention program here in the city of Jacksonville. Christian George, you know, there was a national moratorium ordered by the Centers for Disease Control to protect renters out of work in the pandemic. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has extended a moratorium on evictions month after month, but court records do show that these orders have failed to protect thousands of Florida renters. Hundreds of writs of possession have been filed around the state. That's the final legal step of an eviction, where tenants are forcibly removed by sheriff's deputies. And records show 394 of those in Duval County alone. So can you talk, let's talk about how this is affecting families and particularly children at the holidays in particular. Hundreds of families have been forced out of their homes in this county alone, despite these moratoriums that are supposed to protect against that.
Yes, and currently, well, as of October 31st, there's over 4,000 foreclosures and 4,000 evictions. That's separate, so total over 8,000 pending in Duval County. The moratoriums have halted some of that litigation, but there are exceptions to it, and it has not, protected everybody. So the mayor and the city council, again, should be commended for recognizing this and allocating the money to this. The timing of this is not a coincidence. The holidays are coming up. Yesterday, I walked outside and realized it's very cold, and so this money's needed for families now to get them back on their feet and to protect them, going forward.
And you said you'll be asking for even more than the original allocation, correct? You feel the need is even greater than you might have originally thought?
We will administer whatever the city is able to allocate to the program, and I'm authorized to tell you that there will be a bill filed today by the city and by the mayor's office to allocate an additional $1.5 million. So the total would be up to $6.8 million. We do have some costs that the Bar Association incurs, but the net that will be distributed into the community, into the citizens that need it, is going to be approximately over $6.4 million.
If you're just tuning in, it is the first of the month. You've got to pay your rent, your mortgage. Thousands across this community are struggling. They're out of work in this pandemic. They're behind many months on rent. They're at risk of eviction. Seeing this issue, the City of Jax and the Jacksonville Bar Association are rolling out a new program, and they will start applications tomorrow. If you need relief, this is if you're at risk of losing your home or apartment because you've fallen behind on mortgage payments or rent, it's the new City of Jax eviction and foreclosure prevention program. The website is jacksonvillecares.com. So let us know how you're doing out there. What are your questions? 549-2937. Neil on the west side. Hi, Neil. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, go ahead.
I want to know if there's going to be any landlord relief. It might be the first of the month and rent is due, but I can't evict the people that are not paying rent, but my land taxes are due. I'm $10,000. I got to scrape up $10,000 to pay my land tax on my rental.
How many rentals do you have, Neil?
Well, I have a RV park, and then I have 3 other rentals.
So how many tenants, about a dozen tenants or something like that?
I have 10 tenants.
Okay. All right. So this is another side of this story, and I'm really glad you called, Neil. Let's talk about this for a minute, too. Cindy Trimmer, what about landlords? They are the other side of the coin here. What about guys like Neil?
That's exactly right. And Neil, thank you for calling in. The best thing that we can do in terms of suggesting relief through this program would be to get your tenants on the website, get them to submit their applications, encourage them to take advantage of this. For residential, you've got up to $5,000 for each one of these delinquencies that we can help get that into your pocket so that you can then discharge your obligations. So we absolutely hear you. We understand that that puts an incredible burden on landlords because the fact that your tenants are in this situation and they're not able to pay doesn't relieve you of your obligations. So this is really meant to benefit both sides, getting the tenants in here, getting the tenants caught up, and then getting the money in your hands so that you can do what you need to do.
And Melissa, may I ask that?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Neil, thanks for calling. You raised a very important issue. This is designed for both sides of the equation, which is why it's such a brilliant program that we're happy to administer for the mayor and for the city. When you go to jacksonvillecares.com, there's 2 flyers on there. It sounds like the one you'll want to look at is the residential flyer, which has really complete information on what's needed to get this money into the hands of people like your tenants and you who need the money. This must be initiated by the tenants, though, And in the process, they will put an email or contact info for you, and then you will have some responsibilities on the back end in order to get the money. As Cindy said, we have up to $5,000 per tenant. So it sounds like you have quite a few tenants. And again, we understand the landlords are affected now too, and this is to help you as well.
All right, thanks for that. It's 549-2937 as we talk about Jacksonville Cares. That's the website, jacksonvillecares.com, helping people at risk of eviction or foreclosure. Landon in Murray Hill. Hey, Landon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Melissa. Thanks for having me on. I just wanted to make a comment. I am a landlord, and I have a tenant who is a teacher. And the salary that he makes is, standard teacher salary. But even those who aren't losing their jobs are still having a hard time paying their rent. It's really not just about people who are losing their jobs. And when you see these huge developments and multi-million-dollar businesses going up, it just seems to me like we shouldn't be in this place as a community, that we should be able to support those to not even reach this level of being, evicted.
Right. Thanks, Landon. Thanks for that. Cindy Trimmer, even if people are employed, they might still be struggling. They could be underemployed. In other words, the people that you're going to be able to help, I think, are a drop in the bucket compared to the genuine level of pain that is out there right now.
Absolutely understand that struggle, and that's a much broader problem than what we're addressing with this program. And City Council hears all of these issues. By all means, you should take these issues to your local representatives. But again, this program is meant to bring you current. So folks that are struggling, reach out to us, and we will work with you and answer any questions we can in terms of helping you get past this initial hurdle. But the longer-term struggle is absolutely there.
Let's go to some more calls. It's 549-2937. Brian in San Marco. Hi, Brian. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How you doing, Melissa?
Okay.
So my question real quick, I pay rent in Jacksonville, live in San Marco. I'm current with my rent. We've been struggling, but we made it. But I own a home in St. Johns County in St. Augustine, and my renters are 3 months behind on rent. So I have to pay rent here and my mortgage down there, and it is a huge burden. We're a family of 5. I got 3 kids. So is there any help for St. Johns County homeowners, or is this just for Jacksonville?
Right. Thanks, Brian. We are a multi-county listening area. Now, Christian, this is a Duval County program, but Brian brings up the point that this is a national issue, and people all over Florida are struggling. As I mentioned, people are being evicted all over the state despite this alleged moratorium. People are behind on their mortgages all over. Do you know of anything that's this effort that you have here in Jacksonville? Is it being replicated in any other communities around the state?
Absolutely. But I'm not, I got to be candid, I'm not sure about St. Johns County. But there actually is a lot of municipalities throughout the state of Florida and throughout the country that have dedicated CARES Act funds to very similar programs to this. Again, I'm not sure about St. Johns County, but this program, unfortunately, is only for Duval County because that is obviously what the city council and the mayor preside over.
And let's talk a little bit more about that. The funding for this, as you said, will come from part of the $167 million in CARES Act funds that was sent to the city of Jax by the federal government. Can you talk a little bit further about how the money came to us and how you're able to turn it around in this way to help people who are really in a bad situation right now?
Yeah, so I have not really followed the chronology of where all the 167 was spent, but all I know is that we were contacted and said, hey, we're going to have somewhere around $5 million to dedicate to this particular program, and we need a partner to administer and manage the process. And so, of course, we said yes, and that's really how it came about.
So the city, then, Cindy, the city came to the Jacksonville Bar Association and asked you to partner with them on this. Is that right?
It's been a partnership. Yeah, the city of Jacksonville had these funds available. Some were left over from one of the ViStar programs, getting money in the commercial space. And then the Jacksonville Bar was aware of this type of program from another state bar association, I believe Orange County, that had done something like this, where they partnered with the local government to help get money into the hands of the people. So it was a very natural pairing. I mean, honestly, finding innovative ways to benefit the public is one of the core values of the Jacksonville Bar Association. So this is entirely on point with our mission, and we were happy to step up to the challenge.
And for Brian, who called about St. Johns County, here's something for you. One option for people who need help because of COVID-19 is to apply for relief through the St. Johns County CARES program. They've set aside millions there to help residents, businesses, and nonprofits. Also, the St. John's Housing Partnership is offering housing counseling and can help people work with their lenders to set up an arrangement. If you're still listening, I hope that helps. And we're speaking right now with the chairs and leaders of the new committee for the Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Program, a partnership between the Bar Association and the City of Jax. 549-2937 to talk with us. Now, Cindy, this kicks off officially tomorrow. I'm going to give the information again. It's jacksonvillecares.com. You're going to start taking applications for residential properties tomorrow and commercial properties beginning next week. Is that right? Tell us about that.
That's exactly right. When this went through council, all of the council members made very clear that they wanted to prioritize residential relief. We recognize that problem, and we want the bulk of the funds to go there, so that's where we focused our attention out the gate. And that application will go live, and funds will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. So we've got the money. We're ready, willing, and able to help. We just need folks to log in and take advantage of it.
Christian, what if you get overwhelmed and all the money goes out right away? Will there be any discussion of another wave, or is this it? Is this the one chance people will have, do you think?
My best advice is you can never guarantee what's going to happen in the future, so please take advantage of this now. I have no idea, what the federal government or any other government will do, and but right now, again, we have 5.3, and then I believe soon we'll have 6.8. If that's not enough, I'm sure the city council will consider, but there's no guarantees, and there's only so much money out there.
Right. So again, if you're just tuning in, if you are at risk of eviction or foreclosure, go to this website, jacksonvillecares.com. It's jacksonvillecares.com. Millions of dollars has been allocated grants for residential tenants, homeowners, and business owners on a first-come, first-served basis to protect you from eviction or foreclosure. There are some eligibility requirements, so you need to check out the website and look at all of the criteria. This is, again, for Duval County residents and business owners who are in danger of foreclosure or eviction from the economic stress of the pandemic. This is first come, first served. It kicks off tomorrow morning. One more time, it's jacksonvillecares.com. And I want to thank you both for being with us. Christian George, he is chair of the committee for the Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Program with the Jacksonville Bar, and board member Cindy Trimmer, also with the Jacksonville Bar Association. Both of you with us to talk about this. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for helping us get the word out.
You're very welcome. Well, much more still ahead. Later, we've got some positive news and notes for your week. But up next.
I think that trust in the community is important regardless of what has happened in the past. Maybe we need to regain the trust, and then the challenge really becomes keeping it.
A conversation with Jay Stowe, the new CEO at JEA. We'll be right back. It's the biggest stories affecting the Sunshine State. Hi, I'm Melissa Ross.
And I'm Tom Hudson. Join us Friday for the Florida Roundup.
Each week at noon, we interview newsmakers and people from across the state discussing the stories and issues that affect your life. What's driving the conversation in Florida?
Join the conversation on the Florida Roundup.
Every Friday at noon on WJCT News 89.9.
Snap judgment means your mother, your kids, the dog, and your boss are just going to have to wait until the story is over. Join me, Glenn Washington, for Snap Judgment. Snap Judgment. Storytelling with a beat. Do not miss it.
Saturday afternoon at 2 here on WJCT News 89.9.
Welcome back. Well, new JEA CEO Jay Stowe started his position this week running the city-owned utility. He comes to lead JEA after a very rocky period there. There was the attempted and failed sale of the utility last year, the firing of the former CEO Aaron Zahn and the entire executive staff, and of course there are ongoing federal and local investigations into the whole affair. Stowe says his priority is to first restore trust in JEA and then successfully manage the city's prime public asset. I spoke with him. Hi, Jay. Thanks so much for being with us. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And
Glad to be here.
And welcome to Jacksonville. You are coming into JEA after what I know you are aware of has been a really interesting time for the city's utility. And so with all of the challenges in your inbox, I want to begin by asking you, how important is it for you as the new CEO of the utility to maintain trust with the community about its place in Jacksonville after all of the controversies that have happened here in the last few years?
I think that trust in the community is important regardless of what has happened in the past. We need to maybe we need to regain the trust, and then the challenge really becomes keeping it. And the process for doing that really is not so much working on the trust as it is doing a good job with everything we do every day. The team and the staff at JEA are really very good. They have done a fantastic job keeping reliability up and kind of doing the job that needed to be done over the last couple of years, and I hope that the community has seen that and will understand that everyone is trying to do the best they can do every single day, and we'll keep on doing that.
Sure. And I think we all learned through the whole failed attempt to privatize the utility just how important JEA is to residents of this community and how much they want it to remain viable just as it is for decades to come. And so as CEO, what are the biggest challenges you see in terms of maintaining JEA in what can often be a challenging energy and an ever-changing energy landscape?
Well, we serve the community, the region, Jacksonville and the surrounding areas with water, wastewater, and electric chilled water. Our focus is to keep on doing that. I came to JEA in part because of the public model that it is structured under. I think it's the best system to operate within, and I think the customers, the community, is better served in this model. And I'm looking forward to being a part of the team to help to deliver the best services we can, because we are foundational to the community, and it takes all of us and all of the team at JEA doing a really good job so that everyone else can do their jobs well.
Right. JEA is more than just electricity. It's also water and wastewater. But in terms of the electric grid and the power grid, can you talk a little bit about how you plan to navigate the increasing push, particularly that we'll probably see from the incoming Biden administration, to get to carbon neutral in this country, to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement, to try to wean ourselves off of fossil fuels. What is the role of a utility like JEA in that sort of transition? How are you approaching that?
Well, it's a continuation of the work that JEA has done over the last 10 years. If we look at the numbers, and this is my second day, so I'm pretty sure these numbers are right. But the carbon emissions have been cut by 50% over the last 10 years. We've just made some changes in our contract with Plant Share in Georgia that will also cut carbon emissions further by 2024. We, over the last several months, have made settled and agreed on Plant Vogtle to get some of our power mix from Plant Vogtle and nuclear, which is going to have zero carbon emission. We've got agreements to put in solar across the system in 5 different locations of 50 megawatts that will also decrease our carbon emissions, all of which supports the community, the customers, and the desire to move into that direction. So I think it's totally consistent with the past practice that we've had over the last 10 or 12 years, and I expect that we will keep on seeing that because it's good for business, it's good for our customers, and is good for the community and the environment.
Let me ask you about the ongoing investigation into the attempt to sell JEA. Of course, you're new to Jacksonville and to this company, but this will continue to dominate the headlines for a while. There's a federal grand jury still active. There's a Jacksonville City Council investigation. How do you see this investigation impacting your role, which, as you said, you believe restoring trust, both internally with your staff and externally with the community? That's a big part of your portfolio. How will these investigations, as they unfold, and they may or may not end in indictments at the federal level, how will that affect your challenge?
Well, I think I need to be aware of the investigations that are continuing, but I'm not spending a lot of time focused on the investigation side. I do appreciate the forward-looking future of JEA committee that the council formed, and that is what I'm more interested in and focused on. How do we move forward with the community, and how do we maintain the high level of reliability and all of the services that we provide to our customers? And so I'm not worried as much about the investigation side of things because it is more important right now for us to focus on our day-to-day activities and make plans for what are our large capital needs moving forward, and be sure that we're maintaining the operations and maintenance of the system as well as we can.
And as you look at day-to-day needs, let me also ask you about something that you are unveiling at JEA, a task force around trends concerning COVID-19 and its impact on JEA. So like any other CEO, you are having to monitor the pandemic and its impact on your workforce. Tell us about what's happening with that.
So what I realized that in order for JEA to supply these crucial resources to our community and to our customers, we've got to keep our employees and our staff safe. That's always been true, and so we've always, in the utility business, we have provided all the right tools and equipment for our crews to stay safe in the field and for our employees to be safe in the offices. And then the pandemic side of things has highlighted the extra need for us to be cautious and safe to continue to supply the foundational services. So what I've asked for is just a internal team to stay up to date on what we need to do to be able to keep both our customers and our employees safe, in this pandemic, and how do we respond to emergencies? How do we respond to serving our customers in our call center, in our lobbies, and then how do we do our daily work? Many people across the region and across the country are working from home, and we have some people that are working remotely, but we also have the crews in the field that are needing to stay safe and keep their families safe and keep the community safe. And so that's what this team is helping to do, is to report back to me and the leadership team on what is happening in the field so that we can best serve our customers.
Now, at some point, a lot of your workforce will come back to the office. JEA is moving to a new downtown headquarters on West Adams Street. It's actually a smaller design than what you had originally planned to do. Can you bring us up to date on when you anticipate that move happening?
I believe that it's going to happen in the early part of 2022 is the move to the new building. And I think that the staff is excited about that move, and I'm excited about that move. I think it'll be a better use of our resources size-wise, and will provide a good workplace for our employees and a good location to serve the community.
Well, Jay Stowe, it's good to talk to you and meet you over the phone anyway. I appreciate you being on the program, and hopefully next time it will be in person. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Have a great day.
Well, this month, the federal government is expected to decide whether at least one coronavirus vaccine can be distributed to Americans. And trials for several others are still underway. Dozens of hospitals run by the Department of Veterans Affairs are involved in those tests, and they are calling on vets to volunteer. Health News Florida's Stephanie Colombini reports from the James A. Haley Veterans Hospital in Tampa.
Retired Colonel Herminio Blas Irizarry spent 26 years in the Army parachuting from planes, disposing bombs, and traveling to dangerous parts of the world. Now he's seeing a different kind of threat, COVID-19. When doctors at the Tampa VA hospital told him they were starting a vaccine trial in November, he wasted no time before signing up.
It's something I want to do for my country. Not only for my country, for the entire humanity, because 7.5 billion people in this world needs this vaccine.
The Tampa VA is studying a single-dose vaccine developed by Johnson & Johnson. Blas got his shot just before Thanksgiving. He had a 50-50 chance of getting the vaccine or a placebo, but suspects he got the real deal. Blas described the injection as slow and painful and says that evening he had a headache, chills, and night sweats. But the next day,
I ran my 5 miles on the treadmill like nothing. Fine.
Blas is one of thousands of volunteers around the world taking part in the Johnson & Johnson trial. Here at the Tampa VA, Director of Infectious Disease Research, Dr. John Toney, says they're hoping to get 400 veterans. He's heard similar thoughts about the desire to serve from the dozens who've signed up so far, but says they need a lot more people. Toney knows with promising vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna already on the horizon, some people may be tempted to just wait for those to become available. But he says it's crucial to have a variety of options.
We need this. We're going to need this to get more people immunized quicker than if we only have 2 vaccines. We're going to wait a lot longer if we don't have additional vaccines.
Another hurdle in recruiting volunteers is the study lasts 2 years. This is important to learning how long the vaccine lasts. But Toney says it can seem daunting, especially for people wondering if they'll get the placebo.
That makes people very anxious. They don't want to go 2 years and not get a vaccine. That's happening with all the vaccines at this point. And they really don't want people to just drop out of the study and then get another vaccine.
But Tony says people won't be left hanging even if they get a placebo. Once this vaccine or another proves effective, those in the placebo group will likely get a chance to take it. Colonel Blas says he's committed to sticking with the study. At 49, he considers himself a healthy guy, but knows he could still get the coronavirus. He could also have unexpected side effects from the vaccine down the road. Those are risks he's willing to take.
I'm not afraid of anything. Well, I'm afraid of my mom.
And she wasn't happy her son was participating in this trial. Blas says many of his Puerto Rican and Colombian family members reacted with fear when he told them what he'd done. He says it's a cultural thing related to barriers in language and access to care, but also from mistrust.
Because there has been a history of medically test that is questionable.
Dr. Tony says past medical abuses by white scientists against Hispanic, Black, and Native American people are partially why it's been difficult to get more diversity in all the vaccine trials. But with COVID-19 disproportionately affecting people of color, it's critical to know these vaccines work for them.
We would think that they would be just as effective in those populations, but without data, we don't know.
Blas is urging fellow Hispanics and all vets to volunteer.
Please help us. And when I say us, it's us as Americans. This vaccine will save our lives, and we never stop serving.
Time will tell if this vaccine does in fact protect people from the coronavirus, but Blas says he's proud to have helped find out. For Health News Florida, I'm Stephanie Colombini.
Well, right now we want to tell you about a community-wide challenge. It gives aid to the critically ill children and their families staying at Jacksonville's Ronald McDonald House during the holidays. It's called the Deck the Doors Challenge. Anyone can take part, and I learned more from Executive Director Diane Boyle. Hey, Diane, thanks for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, Diane, we all know about Ronald McDonald House and the great work you do there with ill children. People can support you right now with Deck the Doors. What is Deck the Doors?
Oh, well, listen, Deck the Doors is a fantastic fundraising campaign that so many people in our Jacksonville community are joining. You know, the holidays are a special time for everyone. And this year with the pandemic, it's especially difficult for families with sick children. So we knew we had to do something to create something very special for them. So our Deck the Doors campaign invites the community to make a $5 donation for a holiday paper light bulb. And what makes this campaign so meaningful is that on the back of the paper light bulb, you get the opportunity to handwrite a special note of hope and encouragement to our families.
That's great. And so then what happens with the light bulbs once you collect them?
Well, here comes the magic of this campaign. We deck every door in the Ronald McDonald House with the thousands of paper light bulbs. And our families tell us that these messages that are written on the back of the light bulbs bring light and hope into some of their darkest days.
So, if you could, share a little bit about how a child comes to Ronald McDonald House and what that experience is like for kids and families.
Yes, you know, our children and their families come to the Ronald McDonald House from nearby, from far away, but they all come for the same reason. They come seeking the best pediatric medical care that they can find for their child, and they find it here in Jacksonville. And children who stay with us are critically ill. And we tend to have families who stay with us a minimum a week, sometimes 2 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, 5 months. And they've come because their children need surgery or is receiving proton treatment or some type of chemotherapy. So the experience in the Ronald McDonald House is very important to their healing, to their stay, and to their overall well-being. You know, as you know, we provide lodging, meals, and transportation, but it's this incredible community of care that we provide that supports our families.
And this is an easy way for anybody to help out. They just need to start at your website and click on the Deck the Doors link. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. They can go to rmhcjacksonville.org and click on Deck the Doors, and they can make a difference. Our families tell us they love these light bulbs, that it does give them so much hope and encouragement. And when they come back from their hospital visits every day, it's very comforting to know that there are others along your journey with you.
Well, Diane Boyle, Executive Director at Ronald McDonald House in Jacksonville, thank you so much for shining a little light on this.
Thank you very much for the opportunity for us to share our Deck the Doors campaign.
Conductor Thomas Wilkins returns to Jacksonville to lead the symphony in Tchaikovsky's beautiful Serenade for Strings. Written in the model of his great idol Mozart, the Serenade for Strings is still filled with Tchaikovsky's hallmark romanticism. The images it projects are rich, deep, abstract, and enduring. The program also features Poulenc's wonderful Sinfonietta, December 4th and 5th in physically distanced Jacoby Symphony Hall. For tickets and information, visit jacksymphony.org.
I'm Peter O'Dowd. As school districts have moved their classes online, hackers see easy targets. They sneak into servers, install ransomware, and steal students' personal data, then demand six-figure sums for their return. But what school is willing or able to pay a ransom? That's next time on Here and Now.
Today at 2 on WJCT News 89.9.
Throughout the pandemic, we've watched the number of COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths keep rising. But it can be hard to assess our individual risks.
There is a myth that we take in data, we compute it, and we come out with the right decision. That's not how humans actually decide.
Making sense of risk this afternoon on All Things Considered from NPR News.
This afternoon at 4 here on WJCT News 89.9.
The power to grant a conservator full control over someone else's finances is meant to protect those unable to manage them on their own. The system has its flaws. Just ask Britney Spears. But its impact is mostly felt by those seeking help for relatives that need institutional care. A look at the ins and outs of conservatorship, next time on 1A.
Today, starting at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
Welcome back. Well, as December begins, there is a distinct chill in the air. It's exciting, at least for us, to break out the sweaters and boots for a little bit. And we are also happy to note that your December calendar is hotter than ever, even in these socially distanced times. We've rounded up some interesting opportunities for you to check out this week, along with some well-deserved shout-outs to locals making a difference. It's our What's Good Wednesday, some positive news and notes from the week. Beginning with this vision, just pretend for a moment that you're floating in a gondola down the romantic Grand Canal at this year's Venice-themed Art and Antique Show. Yeah. Now, like most beloved community events, this year's show has become a virtual affair. But hey, the Women's Board of Wolfson Children's Hospital doesn't do things by half. They have put together 5 hours of great online programming for you to click on and enjoy. Lectures from celebrities, designers, architects, and renowned antiques dealers from around the country will be part of this. They will even go ahead with their children's fashion show featuring current and former Wolfson patients. I spoke about the Art and Antiques Show with event co-chair Meg Folds.
We have a wonderful look and journey to Venice virtually. We have speakers such as Charles Tuning, who talks about the Gritty Palace restoration. We have cooking demos from our wonderful local chefs like Liz Grenemeyer and The Brick and Chef's Garden. We have looks at tablescapes and a wonderful panel headlined by Margot Shaw, the founder of Flower Magazine, and 4 national designers. It's just a great show and a wonderful way to kick off the holiday season. We have reached out to many of our traditional sponsors, and a wonderful cadre of donors, and they have graciously donated to our cause, which is raising money for the new neonatal intensive care unit under construction at Wilson Children's Hospital. We have a target of raising $4 million in 5 years, and we have been so pleased at the generosity of not only people willing to donate money, but provide services such as videographers and all sorts of people that have made this possible.
The 2020 Art and Antiques Show premieres this Friday online, and you can view it through December 10th. Happy antiquing. Well, the Pace Center for Girls has built up decades of success helping vulnerable girls here on the First Coast and keeping them out of the criminal justice system. Now, Pace is expanding its model and its service across state lines with new offices in central Georgia. The expansion is made possible by a $425,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. And they will serve more than 100 girls and families with counseling and therapy services up in Georgia. So kudos to Pace Center. Well, in a year marked by stress, illness, hunger, unemployment, the spirit of giving continues to shine here in our area, just like that bright beacon atop the St. Augustine Lighthouse. So it's fitting that the Lighthouse and Maritime Museum is hosting another food distribution event this month. They are partnering with FarmShare, and they're going to distribute 42,000 pounds of food through a socially distanced drive-through distribution. Now, this is all happening in the parking lot of the Ponce de Leon Mall in front of the Belk store next Tuesday, December 8th, from 9 a.m. to noon. So if you're in need of food, just go to that mall next Tuesday morning, get in the car line, you'll see it, and get some food so that you can feed your family this holiday season. And that is so great to see. Now, we want you to make sure to tune into Friday's show as we spotlight a special musical tribute to none other than Ray Lewis. Lewis, the longtime force behind the Mudville Music Room in Jacksonville, is retiring after nearly 50 years of producing concerts in this city. A free day of music in his honor is set for Sunday afternoon outside the Murray Hill Theater with a whole slate of local performers. Who says live music is dead? And if you've got a tasty item to add to our weekly menu of positive news and notes, we want to hear it. Send it to First Coast Connect at WJCT.org. And we also invite you to subscribe to What's Good Wednesdays right on our website. It's a free e-newsletter that goes out every Wednesday, naturally, to give you some uplifting vibes in these challenging times. And that's our show. Thanks to all of our guests and callers. Our producer is Heather Schatz. Josh Torres is show director. Our news director is Jessica Palumbo. Bill Bortsfield is digital editor. As I said, emails go to firstcoastconnect at WJCT.org. And if you missed any part of today's show, catch our rebroadcast tonight at 8 or our podcast up later today, wherever you listen. I'm Melissa Ross. This is First Coast Connect on WJCT News 89.9 Jacksonville. We'll be right back here again at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Stay warm out there.
Support for First Coast Connect is provided by Baptist Health and the North Florida TPO.